Hi folks, how you doing? This is Iqbal with NVIDIA Daily Analysis. In this video, we'll discuss how NVIDIA did today and we'll try to make an assessment for rest of the week using technical charts and fundamentals. We'll also take a look CPI data that just got released today and how this data can help NVIDIA to go further up. Now, let's get started. You see NVIDIA stock chart for today on your screen. NVIDIA opened at 924. It made a high 948. It made a low 915 and it closed at 946. That is 3.58% up. So 3 days in a row for this week, NVIDIA is up. And today's upside movement perfectly makes sense because the CPI data just met the forecast. It did not come higher than the forecast, and that was a welcome news for the market. And this is perfectly aligned with our expectation or prediction yesterday. I mentioned you guys that based on my understanding, the CPI data will not come higher than the forecast. And if that happens, the market will go up. So not just Nvidia, the overall market went up today. Let's take a look at S&P. So you see S&P 1.17% up. And also the other AI stocks are also up today. We'll take a look in a bit. Moving on, last 5 days, NVIDIA up 4.52%, last 1 month 8.25%, and last 6 months is still 91% up. After making some correction from the all-time high, NVIDIA again got the positive momentum and going further up. It'll be interesting to see if it can make a new all-time high before the earnings. We'll talk about it in a bit. Regarding my position, I did not buy any more NVIDIA stock today, but I sold my NVIDIA stock sometime this afternoon around 9:45. I will give you my reasoning when we will be talking about technical charts in a few minutes. Moving on to the daily chart. So after opening, you see there was a clear trend on NVIDIA. There are no ups and downs. There's a little bit, but not much. So this tells that market was clear and no confusion in the market today about the future direction of NVIDIA after the positive CPI data. Now let's take a look technical charts. You see 90-day hourly interval chart for NVIDIA and also the MACD chart. So MACD chart, after gaining a positive momentum yesterday, it got further up, more positive momentum and very strong, you see today, steep curve. This is what we expected yesterday, and I predicted that based on the technical charts, NVIDIA should go up. NVIDIA should get more momentum today. Still, the positive momentum is there, so I'm guessing NVIDIA should go further up before earnings. Now let's take a look 30 minutes chart. See 30 minutes chart is much better than the hourly chart. You see more steeper MACD line versus the hourly chart. So that tells that the momentum is very strong as of this point in the short term, and it should carry the same momentum for the earnings. So this is my initial assessment, but please do not jump to conclusion before taking a look Fibonacci levels in a bit. Now let's take a look RSI. I'm showing you RSI in a 30 minutes chart. So RSI at this point is 78. That says that in the short term, NVIDIA is overbought. So there is a chance that NVIDIA should take a little dip tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Let's take a look hourly chart. So in the hourly chart, RSI is at 76. So RSI is suggesting that NVIDIA is overbought at this point. So based on RSI, should be a little drop tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Let's take a look Fibonacci levels. Now I have the Fibonacci levels. Highest point is 962 and the lowest point is 762. So take a look NVIDIA chart. So around 917, it got a little pullback before it broke 919 level. The CPI data this morning helped Nvidia to get very strong momentum today. Okay, so as I said yesterday, 919 was a very strong resistance, but it was able to break it because CPI data helped Nvidia to get the strong momentum today. At this point, Nvidia is trading around 946. The next level is 962. You see that between 919 and 962, there is no strong resistance at this point. So that's why you see after 919, it went up like crazy. So now I can tell you my reasoning why I sold Nvidia stock around 945, because based on my understanding, 962 is the all-time high. I am guessing that it should get some pullback before Nvidia makes another all-time high. So my thought process is probably if it take a little correction, probably around 2-3% and back to 919 level, then I can buy more Nvidia shares, right? I am kind of person who does not keep the shares or stocks for so long. So I keep buying and selling based on my different levels. But it doesn't mean that you should do the same. There are many people who just want to keep Nvidia stocks for so long. And that makes sense because overall, in the longer term, the trend is positive, right? Now, let's take a look news regarding Nvidia. See the Nvidia news on the left side of your screen. So it says that Nvidia earnings need to show to be good enough for the Wall Street. So yeah, the expectations are very high. If Nvidia does not show a very strong surprise next week, then it won't be a good news for the market, right? Because expectations are high. Next one that talks about Nvidia Blackwell GPUs expected to boost future revenues. Yeah, this Blackwell GPU is getting more attention these days. I see Google is also a potential buyer for the Blackwell GPUs. Another one that says that Nvidia set for robust Q1 revenue fueled by reduced lead times. Nvidia overall is doing a good job trying to reduce the lead time. So Nvidia market value, wow, it crossed 2.3 trillion. That's too big. And that is good for Mr. Jansen. He got the pay increase about 60%. Take a look this one. Shares of semiconductor and chip stocks are trading higher and tech strength following April CPI data. So we'll talk about CPI data in a bit, but as I mentioned that market took the CPI data very positive. And also Mr. Biden is trying to do the hike in the tariffs on Chinese chips. And that's good for the short term. I think that's all about Nvidia news for today. Let's take a look at other AI stocks. You see the AI stock in my list on your screen. The highest positive change is an SMCI that is 15% up, and that is also in line with my yesterday expectation. I uploaded a video on SMCI and I mentioned that SMCI has more room and potential to go further up before Nvidia earnings. So that's what exactly happened today. AMD 4.25% up, Avago 4.07% up, Nvidia 3.58% up, and so on. But interestingly, Amazon is negative 0.58%. I got Amazon share as well around 183.60, and I think that's a good buy. Now, let's talk about CPI data. See this table on your screen. The CPI data actuals came 3.4% versus the forecast 3.4%. So it just met the forecast. So this is in line with my yesterday prediction where I mentioned that CPI data should come lower than the forecast or it should meet the forecast. Let's take a look at core CPI. The core CPI also met the forecast 3.6% versus 3.6% forecast. Last four cycle, the core CPI came higher than the forecast. And a good sign that this cycle it just met the forecast. And this is Also, partially in line with my yesterday expectation, where I mentioned that, in my opinion, the core CPI should come a little higher than the forecast, or it should just meet the forecast. So at least 50% I was correct. Now let's take a look other economic data due this week or early next week. You see on your screen tomorrow the initial jobless claims coming. That may be important, but other than that, I do not see any significant data coming. Friday, nothing much. Monday next week, nothing is scheduled. Tuesday, nothing much. Wednesday, we have minutes of FOMC meeting. I do not expect they would say anything different from Mr. Powell mentioned in his conference early this month. So this may be important, but not much. So before NVIDIA earnings, no major data is coming. And that's a good news. We do not expect volatility due to the economic data before the NVIDIA earnings. So that's all about NVIDIA analysis and assessment for today. If I summarize today's discussion, yes, NVIDIA got the positive momentum since yesterday and it carrying the same momentum today as well and hopefully this week also. But at the same time, since NVIDIA is up in the last 3-4 days and is close to this all-time high, I'm expecting that it should take a little dip before it makes another all-time high. And that's my understanding. You may agree or disagree with my opinion. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you more tomorrow. Take care.